We had some technical issues, everyone, but
Sorry about that.
no, it's okay. It's all good. I think it was also on my end, by the way, because I also got a notification
Yeah,
your internet connection is a little unstable, and I think it's mainly because I have a ton of family downstairs right now. Came out of town, got the nephews, got all my sisters in town, so everyone's just hoarding the Wi-Fi. So
yeah.
it should be fine now. I don't think we're gonna have an issue. And
My brother was streaming last night, and he's like, "You can't do anything. You can't watch TV." I'm like, "What the hell are you streaming?" And his response was, "Oh, I'm streaming to my followers on Twitch." I'm like, "Okay, what are you twitching, or like, what are you doing on Twitch?"
yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, "I'm playing Warzone and I'm streaming it." I'm like, "Okay, have fun."
Wait, actually,
So
oh wait, he's a Warzone streamer. Like, does he usually
yeah,
do this on a regular?
he did it for the first time.
Okay,
He
okay.
came to he came to me and to my dad, and he said, "Aaron, Dad, don't use the internet." I'm like, "I was watching a Disney movie tonight. No, don't watch a Disney movie." My dad's like,
hmm
"Well, I was watching Aquaman tonight." He's like, "You're not allowed." So the two of us were stuck without watching our movies.
You know what? I think I could be wrong on this, by the way, but I think when you stream, it takes your upload speed into account.
Yeah,
And while you guys are using your phones, you guys will mainly be using your download. So I feel like
yeah.
it wouldn't interfere at all, actually. But hey, who knows? Maybe it does. That's just my
I think
assumption
this
for what
brings
I'm
us
gonna
to
know.
our topic. I think this brings us to our topic.
Oh
What
yeah,
would you
oh
like
yeah.
to
What were we
see?
talking about again?
Oh yeah. So on episode 4 of the Urban Platform, yeah, that's the name of our podcast. We're going to be talking about what we'd like to see from a sci-fi point of view in cities. And I think the failing internet is one thing I want resolved. How about
So
you?
so basically, it's funny because I've been nerding over Star Trek for a long time. So I started thinking about things and what I would want to see in cities. I think internet's a really good point. Having, and I feel like that is definitely going to happen in our lifetime, where you're just going to have
Well, I
overall
think it's going to
universal
happen in
internet
the next
access.
couple of years.
Next couple of years, but do you think universal internet
Yeah,
everywhere
universal
you are in the
internet
world?
access with Elon Musk's Starlink. I think that's the plan for it.
But do you think it can
With
roll
the
out in a
like,
couple of years?
oh yeah, they're already sending a couple up into space like on a weekly basis.
So I'm going to ask you a question because I don't really follow Musk as much as I can, but sometimes his tweets are hilarious. So shout out to
Yeah,
him. He makes some really, yeah, like I always have a good laugh. Like he'll be comparing things. He'll be going up against certain viewpoints, which I really, really enjoy. And I guess my question to you is, do you think his word, like, do you think when he sort of builds expectation up, right? He's like, this could happen eventually and everything. Do you feel like his word usually is been true so far? Like, do you think he will actually get closer to developing these technologies that he has been proposing for a while now, to say? So,
yeah. So I'm actually reading up on it right now.
mhm.
Right now there's 900 satellites up in the
Okay,
air. They're beaming internet down to the Earth between 50 to 150 megabytes speed per megabytes per second download speed.
yeah.
Um, they're saying even though it's been snowing in some places, it's been raining, like completely pouring, their internet is not coming out, and it's actually faster when it's colder. Apparently, um, one person said they live in northern U.S. They told Business Insider the following: their Starlink internet speed averages 20 megabytes per second faster in colder air at 12 degrees Fahrenheit. So I think it's promising. You would think that colder temperatures would like interrupt the signal, or like amount of rain would interrupt the signal, but doesn't seem to be the case. In fact, there's a better signal. So good job to Starlink.
Hey, you know what? When I think about it, that's actually a pretty good thing in a way. Because let's say during the hotter months, the summer months, then people will be like, you know what? The performance isn't as good as winters. So let's go outside. Let's spend the days
Exactly.
outside. Let's get some sun, Um, and especially for the winter months, I notice, and FYI, I used to be, well, still am. Used to be a huge gamer, still am a gamer. Uh, like I would remember I would put like a beanie on during the winter, sweater, headset over, and I would literally be gaming, like especially on weekend nights. Because why would you
Oh,
want to go out in the cold, man? Come on, like
yeah.
when you have 5 or 6 friends playing with you, right? So
When
hey,
you
I
have
think
five, but like, hear me out. Nothing's better than going with a friend for coffee. Like in the middle of winter, and you're like, okay, it's -20. Let's go for a coffee. Okay, it's not the same as 5 to 6 friends, but like that text where it's like, you free? Yes. Okay, let's go for coffee, or let's go for a hot chocolate,
yeah,
or
and
hey, you free? Let's go hike Mount Royal. I've gotten that text, and that made my day.
and honestly, I wish I so big, and you obviously know this, but I used to be I used to be really invested in gaming to the point where I would be competing in high school, and I would literally be coming back from school, doing my homework, and just get online, and start grinding out, um, playing game battles, which is basically a service where you can make your own team and you can go up against other players for money, playing in tournaments with prizes, and some people had the ambition to try and make it all the way to the top. Some people just wanted to play to make money, or some people just wanted to have fun with it, right? So, and I think it was a good mix between all. Then once Sage Up and university came, I started actually enjoying things outside much, much more. And recently got gaming fever because, hey, new PlayStation 5, new games have been releasing, Call of Duty,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So, and quarantine, right? So kind of got back into it, but it's very temporary. That's what I know for
Now I
sure.
know everybody hates this question,
Yeah.
but as a gamer, I don't think you could pick this. But what's your favorite game?
What's my favorite game?
Yeah.
Oh man, okay. And people are not gonna like this, but I played a lot of FPS games. Favorite game right now, that's a tough one because I have very critical once it comes to all the games that I do play. But what I play right now,
You have
I'm
one choice.
one choice, man. Okay, wait. What do you say, favorite game or the game I'm playing right now?
Favorite game.
Favorite game of all time, dude. It has to
Like, you
be.
had any console, you had any amount of time, you had bowl of popcorn and that Harvey's poutine, and you're like, okay, I'm gaming. I don't know what I'm gaming. My friends aren't online. What game would you turn on?
Battlefield.
Battlefield. Okay.
Battlefield 4. And that's where I sort of got into the whole competitive thing behind it. And that's when I truly started loving FPS games and I wanted to move forward and try other games out and compete in other games. So that's my final answer.
It makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. I'm not much of
Uh,
a gamer, but I am definitely able to say mine. My friends who know me or my friends who play this with me know how much I love it or how much I hate losing in it. Super Smash Bros.
I have one code that I learned, like not learned recently, but I've known for a long time. And I feel like this is a code that you can apply anywhere,
Oh, you're not
honestly.
recording.
Oh no, it is recording. It says recording for me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, hey,
Okay.
I'm recording,
Doesn't show
man.
up on my end.
Imagine,
It
dude.
doesn't show up
That,
on my end.
that would have sucked, man. Imagine. Okay. Dude, so what I would say, one thing is winning is teaching, losing is learning. And this is where a quote that you can apply anywhere in life, right? If you lose at something, whether it be a competition or you lose, you're trying to apply for a job and you have a lot of other candidates going against you, and you ended up not making it through 2 or 3 rounds of an interview, it's fine. Like it sucks. The feeling
Yep.
sucks. You can definitely mourn over it, but
Yep.
pick yourself up, learn from it, what mistakes you made. Ask that employer. Ask them like, hey,
Yeah.
where did I wrong, or where can I go, where can I improve? So when you're actually winning at something, you're teaching people what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
teaching your craft in a way, and
Yeah.
it depends on the loser on how he picks up on
I'm learned
the
from it.
methods you use to win.
Yeah.
So yeah, little
My brother used to
philosophical
say this
tangent
quote
there,
all the time. Yeah, look, you win some, you lose some.
basically.
And it's the truth.
Hey, it's fine. And the thing
Yeah.
is, it's all about patience, man. It's all about grinding, hard work, and working smartly. I believe in working smartly rather than spending
Yeah.
8 hours a day, right? If you're working smartly and working 8 hours a day, sure, that's cool too, but make sure you get outside, get some exercise, spend time with your
Yeah,
families, spend time with your loved ones, because we only have one life, man. So try to keep a good balance, enjoy yourself.
exactly. Good
Yep.
advice there. I don't know how to follow that up or have any response to that.
You know what, man?
um,
Let's just, I guess we can just go on with, yeah.
yeah,
So
let's bring it back to the topic.
back to the topic, man.
So sci-fi. Yeah, Mo mentioned that he's a Star Trek guy. I'm a Star Wars guy, but I think that's been established.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an Iron Man right here. That looks like it's an Iron Man Sith Lord. So,
Hmm.
um,
I love it,
did I
man.
just show my figurine on camera? Well,
Hell yeah.
nice. And I have my Star Wars mug. Yeah. Um, I would agree. So yeah, we talked about internet, how internet would be cool in cities. I mean, Starlink is on it. So
Hmm.
for those of you who complain when there's no Wi-Fi outside, Elon Musk got you covered.
Basically.
Um,
Hopefully.
hopefully. I think one thing I want to see from Star Wars is um, the amount of air travel they have
Oh
within
yeah.
the city, like the pod
Yeah.
race, not pods, but kind of pods
Hmm.
to get around. Like you have these like spaceports, and like within a snap, your ship's ready to go and you're ready to sail off. And I have never seen them like fidget with keys. It's just like we walk in, press a button, it opens. Beautiful.
So, you know what that reminds me of? You know how I think this is happening in the US, but you know how Amazon stores are, I'm sure there are some that have opened up, but it's not like it's not mass, there's no mass production, mass amount
Yeah,
of stores of it yet, but you can literally walk in and you can walk out because it detects, I don't know, and it
yeah,
probably has some tech with your phone recognizing your account, and then it automatically
yeah.
charges you, so you don't have to go through a register and the process of.
I think I think it's so cool.
I think it's
Or
cool, man.
like what you walk into a store, you're at the Apple store, you take the thing you want, and then you walk out, right? It's like it shouldn't only be at grocery stores. How much time have you spent in line where you're like, oh my god, these people are slow.
And you know,
Okay, grandma, we get it. You want your 78 cents. Oh, oh, I'm paying for it in cash. Hold on. 78.78. Here you go. And then they sit there and count
mhm.
the change. I have 25 quarters here.
Dude, definitely a big time saver, man. Especially if you get some new tech or like a furniture piece or
Yeah,
whatever. You're super excited to take it back, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to set this up, and
yeah,
basically you save like maybe 15 or 20 minutes of your time.
yeah.
And
More
whether it be
time to
only
set it
5 or
up and
6
play with
minutes,
it. Yeah.
exactly. Play with it, have good use out of it, and move on with your day. Essentially, I feel like,
And I think
look.
it's cool that like at the Amazon store you have multiple like whether you take a banana or like uh for instance apples, right? There's
Mhm,
like so many kinds of apples. I'm sure the store is not limited to one kind of apple.
of course.
And you could literally take the apples and it knows which one you took and then
Mhm.
you could walk out. That's brilliant. Or like it knows exactly which box of cereal you got and it's like, okay, you got your lucky charms. Good job.
And you know, you got me thinking about something, man. This whole time thing that we spoke about, saving time, right? I think
Yeah.
if we're headed towards a future where, you know, how people really emphasize on time, how much time you have throughout the day,
Yeah.
how I can fit in all my activities throughout the day. And I feel like, look, you know, you're gonna have YouTubers, like lifestyle YouTubers, for example. They're gonna show their whole morning routine and stuff, how they wake up at 4:35 in the morning. And the thing is, I saw a comparison video. One guy was making fun of them. He was
Of
basically, the
course.
guy would wake up at 4:35 in the morning, and his alarm rang, and he was like, "Ah, I love the sound of my alarm in the morning." It's like, dude, who are you? Who likes the sound of
What?
their alarm in the morning? Are you kidding me? What? So
Yeah.
you can definitely tell which ones are more fabricated or more like, you know what, I want to show my viewers this particular type of lifestyle, even though I don't really fulfill that type of lifestyle, you know. And it's let's just call it fake. It's fake. It's very difficult to do. You can do it with practice. You can become a very good morning person, but there's some people who argue and maybe
Can't do
sometimes
it.
argue that can do it, and some people are night owls. I would
Yeah.
say I'm a pretty good night owl. But I've been trying to wake up in the morning as well. But I'm not going crazy. You're not seeing me wake up at 4:35 in the morning saying, "Oh, the sound of my alarm is just so beautiful." Like, what, dude?
Like, it depends what your alarm is, but even then, like, who's like, hell yeah, let's get this day started, woo, on a consistent basis.
His alarm was a disaster. Who did I sound like right now? It sounded like Trump. Disaster, disaster, disaster. Yeah.
It's gonna be a disaster. Yeah, so that could be problematic. Yeah, I'm a morning
So,
person too, but like, on the concept of time, I think that the pandemic has made people realize how valuable time is. Right?
100%. Yep.
I'm not spending 2 hours or more commuting. And to me, I'm like, okay, that was time easily wasted scrolling through BuzzFeed or tasty videos, occasionally texting a friend, but rarely because we all had different schedules. I
Mhm.
find that like 2 hours was a complete waste of time. Now it's like, oh, I don't have those 2 hours. What am I gonna do?
And I think with that point being said, right, I think the future for our cities and its development will also cater or should cater to making making basically increased efficiency where you save more
Oh, for
time
sure.
in whatever services you're attending, whether it be going to a store, whether it be going to the salon, or anything else you can think of, public transportation as
Yeah,
well. Trying to be efficient with time, with the resources used on the transit service itself, and just basically increased accessibility, connectivity,
yeah,
and making and I remember you speaking about those hubs before, which can in the future, hopefully, like when COVID is gone, these hubs can become more and more of
yeah,
an idea that we can go towards making transport hubs, having so many different ways it can connect throughout the city, throughout any city. And man, if we just get to a future where we save time on all these things, so
yeah,
more people can, either focus on their hobbies,
yeah.
do the things they actually love, instead of being like, oh man, 9 to 5 job,
I have to
took me
find
two
my
hours to get
keys.
back. I have to find my keys. I got back home. Literally, I was stuck in traffic for 2 hours. I'm back at home at 8 o'clock, spending a couple hours with my wife, with my kids, or with my siblings,
Yeah,
and then I have to go to sleep and repeat, 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 repeat. Right.
yeah,
Let's try to build that future. And I love
yeah.
having
Like,
this
definitely.
discussion.
I mean, I was thinking about keys because I've often gone
Yeah.
like, did I lock my door? And then I'd like be like halfway home from
Yes.
school, and I'd be like,
Yes.
I have to drive home and go check. Nobody else
Yeah.
is home right now. Or like the amount of times I'm like, have you seen my keys? Have you seen my keys? Have you seen my keys? Or one time, this is my absolute favorite. My dad took the keys,
Hmm. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah.
and I had I had a car. I had two cars sitting in the driveway, but I had no keys for the
Yeah.
car. I'm like, well, I have plans. I couldn't get to my plans on time because the keys were not home. And I'm like, wow, this is so inefficient because I need a car to get another car key. That makes no sense.
And you bring up such a good example. And the thing is, look, you're a smart guy. Like, look,
Yeah,
I'm going to say one thing to the audience, right? Aaron is probably one of the most efficient people I've met in terms of time. He's literally amazing. Like, he will be there right on time, right? Not right on time, he'll be there much beforehand. Like, he'll be ready for anything, right? And this is a great example of being prepared for anything. For, like he said, he wanted to make sure he locked your place, or
yeah. I wanted to make sure I
yeah.
locked my place one time. Another time, I just
Hmm.
wanted to get into the car that was sitting in the driveway. I couldn't.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, and I wish more people were like, I wish I was like that more, in fact, where I would wake up at a better time and save time for whatever else may happen. And the
Yeah,
thing is, Aaron brought a great example, like a small scale problem that us humans face every single day. These small things that come in between that could have waste even a little bit of time or a lot of time. And then you have these bigger scale issues, which is your local public transportation
yeah,
reliability, right? So, and I think if we can bring in ideas for a better future, get involved somehow in the process by either doing this podcast, having a discussion about it, having engaged discussions with our viewers, whatever viewers we have, we can attract attention.
Yeah.
These are things I love to talk about, and we love being involved with being part of the greater picture, making a better plan. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And don't worry for those people who lose their keys or their wallets. Or this happened to my cousin. It was actually a really funny story. One time he locked keys inside the car,
Oh.
and he was at Loyola campus, and he lived downtown. And guess what was in the car? His wallet was in the car. So we had to call my other cousin. She had to drive there with the spare key, and then they got saved.
Oh man. I wouldn't want to be in that situation.
But he had his phone. So like, imagine your car key. It was on your phone. You take your phone with you everywhere. I mean, one time I forgot my phone, but that's a whole other story. One time I literally, this was like a very bad day. I forgot my phone. First off, I woke up late. I don't wake up late, like, ever. I remember I had an 8:30 class. This is when I was at Abbott. It was like, I was beyond tired. I was like beyond fried. I realized I forgot my lunch at home. And I didn't have my wallet either. I happened to have a quarter. Now, I had my car key and I'm like, okay, I could go home. Me, at the end of the day at 2:30, I'm throwing my key up and down, up and down, up and down, and it ends up in the sewer.
Oh, do you have your license? If you didn't have your wallet, did you have your license?
I don't think I had my
honest.
license. I don't think I had it. I may have, maybe I had my wallet, but like I didn't have like my debit card or credit card. So I had no like cash in my wallet either. But I had like no time to get food. I remember walking into my teacher's office and he's like, "You're still here. I thought you went home. You had a bad day." I'm like, I threw my keys in the sewer.
So, dude.
And he's like,
dude.
he's like, "Oh yeah, and you forgot your phone." And I'm like, "Yeah, I forgot my phone. Could I borrow yours?" I called my mom, and I'm like, "Mom, I lost the keys in the car in the sewer, and I don't have my cell phone." And he's like, "Yeah, I noticed. It's on your bed, like with your lunch." And I'm like, "Yeah, could you come get me?"
It just wasn't the day, man. It wasn't. How did your parents react to the whole situation?
I explained how tired I was.
Okay.
Like I was working the night before, not schoolwork. I was at work, and I was up until I got home at 1:30.
Yeah.
And truth be told, wait, hold on. I think it was the weekend that we changed the clocks back.
Oh yeah. Okay. Like time
I think
change?
it was that weekend too. So like I got home at 1:30, but it was really 2:30.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah. No, I can imagine that throwing
I
you
think
off.
it was that day. So
Okay.
I call it the disaster.
Simply a disaster, man. And we're all gonna have those days. It's just about
Yeah.
getting through them. Looking forward to the next one. And that's a great example of a smaller scale issue turning into a larger scale issue.
Yeah.
Right? Because it
All I
all builds
needed
up.
was one thing in the same thing, and I would
Yeah.
have somehow brought it all.
Basically, and that's exactly what I was saying. Like, if the first particular situation didn't happen, everything else could have been prevented.
Yeah.
It's amazing if you think about it, right? And look, I'm not gonna. When we go back to this topic on cities and city development, we often talk about organization, and we talk about. Now, the thing is, the reason why I brought organization again is right because when you look at futuristic movies, whether it be Star Trek. No. Well, Star Trek is a movie as well. And you know what's funny? The more recent Star Trek movies that have been released. Now, okay, for example, Star Trek Picard, which
Yeah.
has one season so far. 10 episodes? Yeah, 10 episodes. Amazing show. Like they actually show a little bit of like most Star Trek series. Like the problem with the Star Trek series was that you wouldn't often see the city itself. You would mostly be in space on the Enterprise, which is fine because that was the main focus, main theme. But
I mean, it's Star Trek. It's not City Trek.
Exactly, and I noticed in more recent movies though that have come out in the 21st century, there have been battles on Earth or other planets, which brings a whole new element to
perspective.
to the series, which is cool. And a lot of old school fans, like I'm talking about like fans like my father and everything, don't necessarily love so many action scenes. They love more dialogue scenes, and I totally understand. More
Yeah.
meaning behind it. There's more thinking behind every word rather than bring the guns out and let's set this straight. So now
Yeah,
when I
and you
look,
bring up the concept of organized.
yeah,
In these sci-fi movies, they're like organized to a T. How often do you see the main character like lose his keys? Or how often do you see them eat? But that's a whole other story. Like you see the perfect society. You
yeah,
don't like every car is lined up in a perfect way. You don't see those drivers that like park really badly. You know what I'm talking about, right?
parking like Mr. Bean or Jacques Cluzet
Yeah,
from the Pink Panther.
exactly, exactly. But like everything is perfect,
Oh
or if
yeah,
it's not perfect, oh, systems are down and everything is down,
dude.
right? Like one person
Yes,
in Star Wars, one person enters the library, the whole building is down because one person entered the library. I'm like, huh? What? Are
yeah,
our systems not smart enough to control for one
dude.
anomaly?
You bring up such a good point, and the thing is, when I think about organization in general, you're either right. In these movies, it's either really bad or really good, right? It's either everything's symmetrical, everything just falls in line, or everything's just a disaster. Disaster
Yeah.
word used again. Um, but and the one thing I think about is, now this is a question that goes towards you
Yeah.
or the audience if they want to attempt an answer, because it's not the we've often discussed this. Now we think we have an answer, but it has to be practiced in order to actually know if this answer does hold true. And the question is how much existing infrastructure we have now do we have to destroy to
Ooh,
reach those heights of urban development
ooh.
and
That's a
technological
bold one.
development? It's a wild one. It's a very vague question.
Now, I think it depends how you look at it, right? Because you
Mhm.
could build above and you could build below the current development.
Yeah,
Now, at one point, you're gonna get to this point. Um, it's Ready Player One. At one point, you
sweet.
will get to
Yeah.
this point. Um, but yeah, I've been meaning to read it. It's sitting on my desk, but when I read papers all day, the last thing I want to do is read a
Honestly.
book. Um, so you could build above, and that's what Orlando is doing right now. They actually commissioned to launch not a spaceport, but to launch an airport within the city for people to fly around and
Mhm.
for flying cars. You could build below, which is what I'm going to say his name again. Elon Musk is doing, whether it's the Hyperloop or the Boring Company. Hyperloop or the Boring Company, right? So technological change doesn't have to destroy the cities completely because you could build above, you could build below, and you could also build within, right?
Yeah.
If it's a matter of taking, for instance, a grocery store, right? You have your rundown Walmart around the corner, right? You could easily, well,
Mhm.
with the right amount of investment, you could take that Walmart and turn it into one of Amazon's grocery stores, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have to like my opinion, you don't have to completely destroy it. There's a lot of things that are right now being built or that are built that aren't fully used, right?
Mhm.
I'm doing a project right now on Point St. Charles and like the whole Bridge Bonaventure sector. There's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of industrial area that's not being used to its fullest capacity, right? So yes, you could you could take it down and transform it, or you could have like what Ubisoft does, or like what any gaming company does, or what any modern day company does. They take over this old industrial space, turn it into an office building.
Mhm. Yeah. And I'm a bigger fan of that idea, using existing city
Yeah,
infrastructure that we have and modifying it as time goes
yeah.
on.
Or even like the
And
city of Laval. I attended a conference this week on smart cities, and they were talking about like the infrastructure in place to track buses and
mhm.
like bus priority lights and whatever.
Yeah.
They were using existing lights. They just like made an adapter
Okay.
to have my Wally like sitting next to me. I don't think it requires
Mhm.
destroying anything.
Of course. Dude, recently, and I don't know if I should bring this up now, but I feel like since we're on the topic, one thing has, and maybe we'll have a whole episode dedicated to this topic. No, I don't know if this has only been happening around the Broussard area or if this has actually been happening in downtown as well, is where I'm noticing bike lanes being built beside, like, not like an actual physical, but it's just lines being drawn on the road, uh, a dedicated bike lane in in primarily in Broussard, which is a more of a residential zone than anything.
Yeah,
And the thing is, it's on these small commercial streets, and I don't know what the thought process was behind it, because if you're if you're trying to bike during rush hour, and there is still rush hour, like
yeah,
even during these times, there are still peak hours are still pretty busy. I'm here
yeah,
thinking, why would a cyclist want to be in this lane? The chances of a cyclist getting hit so hard right now, if a cyclist chose to go on that lane, it would be a hassle. Now, okay, look, you can make the argument that, okay, now the driver has to be a little bit more conscious, and yeah, totally, 100%. A driver always has to be conscious on the road, but the thing is, when you have such limited space in a lane, and when you have a
yeah,
huge truck,
yeah,
how do you tackle that?
yeah.
Because you're worried
Um,
about existing traffic, you're focusing on the traffic around you, the guy behind you, the guy in front of you, how fast he's braking, and then if a cyclist just happens to come out of nowhere, you're not always checking your rear view mirror.
yeah,
You're not right. You have to check it every so often, but realistically, you're not checking it every 5 seconds. It's so risky, and it's such a tight space for a biker to go through. So when I look at these concepts, it's like, okay, this is an interesting concept, but it's not working.
yeah. I think that's a whole other topic because I could personally go in depth on it. What I would say though is part of the reason for doing that is by painting that extra line on the road. Technically speaking, it's supposed to slow down drivers. Does it? Probably not. But like in theory, it's supposed to do that. Um, in theory, it's like what's happening is people drive faster, especially on if you take like a highway, people drive faster because there's no trees on the side. If
Of
there were
course.
trees on the side, if there were people walking, you would drive slower, right? So when you have what is like a commercial area on the side, people will drive faster. But if you added trees, well, unfortunately, 20, 30 years ago, they didn't have the foresight to keep trees in the neighborhood, right? Right now, so they're like, okay, what else can we do to make this less problematic? The one thing they could do is paint the streets. So how could they paint the street? Add the bike lane, right? Ultimately, like I've read studies on this. Ultimately, drivers only need one. Like on some streets, there's 3 lanes, right? And then you have a parking lane and a bike lane. How often is somebody waiting in the parking lane? Waiting in the third lane to go into the parking lane? Like, and then because of that, one lane's backed up. But how often are all 3 lanes actively being used? It's more effective if you have one lane. People are
So,
more cautious and prudent.
and you know what? If we want to relate this back to our main topic,
Yeah,
the best thing I can say right now is that in terms of future city development, we have to be as developers, as planners, we have to be very open-minded once it comes to change, because
yeah,
when we implement something and it doesn't work, even no matter how many models you've went through, no matter how many studies you've gone through, and it simply doesn't work because of external factors that you don't have control of, cities must make changes quickly.
yeah,
Don't let it be there. And that's one problem that we have in our time right now, is that if a certain project or service isn't working, it tends to stay there for an extended period of time.
yeah.
And very, very, very little do you notice that it changing right away. It changes over time, maybe in the next, I'm going to say 3 to 5 years. But we have to, if we want to accommodate and grow our cities faster, we have to accommodate changes and
Yeah.
modifications when necessary. So that's one thing I want to see out of our future
And
cities.
I want to add to that point. The way to
Yeah.
see these changes, the way to measure these changes and to keep track of it is something that's often ignored in planning practices. How many
Mm-hmm.
times have you heard, we have to monitor the effects? Well, we don't monitor the effects of what we plan. So I think there's two things. A, we should start monitoring these effects. But to do that, even though we need change in cities, this starts with data, right?
Of
You
course.
need data, you need indicators, you need measures
Mm-hmm.
that are universally agreed on
Yeah.
to be able to make these things happen. If you have a bunch of people arguing what accessibility is or
Mm-hmm.
arguing, mobility is about speed, well, you're not getting anywhere, right? And that's what a lot of the debate is right now. Oh, we're talking about density. Let's debate what density means.
Yeah.
We need universal measures that aren't open to debate where it's like, oh, density is the amount of people per building. No, density is the amount of people living in this census area,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Or another topic that's like often debated is like what is fast mean, right?
Yeah.
Some person's gonna go like fast means I'm not interrupted. Another person's gonna go fast is a 5 minute drive instead of a 25-minute drive.
Yeah. And I do believe that, look, debating is important, especially, look, you can debate a concept any way you want, but now I really think also, I'm going to be bashing sort of what I notice these days in our time. I see a lot of useless debate. And what I mean by is people will, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be political. I'm not trying to
Yeah,
bash politicians in any way, shape, or form. I'm just bashing debate and maybe certain debate topics that I feel like don't need to be addressed, because if you're trying to change somebody's point of view, and the problem with debate today is, like, Aaron, let's say you and I got into a debate, right? And I was really on one side and you were on the
yeah,
other. Now, okay, let's say you make a very good point, which I actually agree with in my mind. I'm like, okay, you know what? He actually argued something here which sort of goes against my perspective and which can actually cause me to change
rethink
my
it.
thinking, or
Yeah,
adjust my mentality. But I've noticed in our debate system that you can't you can't acknowledge somebody before making a good point, you know?
yeah,
And this hinders our process in development and growth as human beings. Forget cities, man. If we want to develop and grow, we got to grow as human beings first, and then we can see
yeah.
something out of our cities. That's a big point that's going to
And
be made for this podcast.
I think a lot of it has to do with you could debate, but like if you believe something, you need an overwhelming amount of evidence to change that belief.
Of
That's
course.
one thing.
Yeah.
Second thing is people are very hot headed when they debate, right? They don't take time to say, I need to think about that. Their first instinct, and my first instinct too, is I need to jump back on this guy and attack him right away. Right?
Yeah.
So you're like sitting there formulating, but in reality, you could say, I need time to think about this, step back, and then come back to it at a later time.
Of
And
course.
I want to say this because I'm noticing it too. When we're talking, we have a tendency to forget our breath, right? So if you take a deep breath, and even the process of taking a deep breath, the other person is going to start bashing you because you didn't respond. And taking that deep breath is something important to do.
Yes. And it's all about, what I notice is, if I'm against you in a debate, I'm going to try to make points on, okay, you paused at this point, so you were clearly doubting yourself when making your next statement, blah, 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 blah. And I wasn't taking a deep breath there. I actually kind of forgot my trail of thought there. I'm not going to lie, but basically, if I try to expand on that point right now, is like, I'm going to try and bash every little thing you do, even though I actually have no proof that you meant to say there's some, I can only assume. And it's about protecting my ego. It's like, I don't want to lose to you. I have people watching me. I have supporters watching me, or I have myself watching me. I don't want to think when going to bed, I don't want to think that, oh man, I actually agreed with the other side. I'm not a strong-minded person, and that's not true. If you agreed or you actually thought about what somebody else said, and you thought about it effectively, you sat down, you wrote something down about it, whatever you may do to process your mind, you might. That's growth. That's
Yeah.
actually. So this is like, dude, society has to really fix itself if we want to move forward in certain ways towards a
Yeah.
prosperous future.
And I think part of it is taking the time to respond, taking that breath before responding, right? And accepting that that breath is normal, and accepting that we're not getting a response, whether it be by text or phone call or whatever, right away, right? We could wait days or weeks for a response. And that's something we just have to be open to.
Yeah, and if the person has clearly indicated that, unless there's commitments made that haven't been fulfilled, then I guess I agree with being a little bit, I'm not going to say pissed off, but a little bit annoyed.
Yeah.
Or a little hurt, whatever may describe whatever particular situation anyone is going through. Then I get that, but don't. But I agree with you. Don't necessarily have high reliance on any particular individual. Especially if that person didn't make any promises or didn't commit to you in any way. You don't have a reason to be mad, if you're technically speaking. So yeah, I agree. And Aaron, is there any other? So now, so we've spoken. So let's kind of like go over what we've been talking about
Yeah.
in terms of city development, right? So just very recently, I made the point that society needs to grow itself in order for a city to grow. We have to look at projects and we have to make quick adjustments and fixes to whatever's not working or whatever has been implemented that needs any sort of adjusting. So those are two things that we and we were talking about working with existing infrastructure.
Yeah.
I agree. And
or increase data.
Increase data. And I
And
know there were a couple
adopt
points you made. Yeah.
adopt not universal definitions, but universal data indicators. I was looking at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and they actually have a list of indicators for each goal, and half of them are undefined or not universally accessible. And I'm like, well, this is problematic. So yeah, it's a matter of making data available, transparent, clear, but also universal, right? You need people who are in different fields to be able to understand this data.
And you brought up the first point, which we spoke about, was having Elon Musk and his plan to give should we call it universal Wi-Fi
universal
or data?
Internet.
Yeah.
Universal Internet.
Universal Internet, right? So we've brought up these 5-6 particular points up. Now,
and the last one.
Yes.
Last one. Breathe.
Yeah. Breathe.
And get outside. Breathe and get outside. We've emphasized that throughout the podcast today.
Of course, and other little things that we can maybe talk about, which we can also cover on another episode, is having really cool forms of transportation, meaning like we spoke about efficient transportation, but I mean like in Star Trek, I don't know if Star Wars has this too, but transponders, which basically take you from literally beam you back to whatever location. Exactly. And I'm gonna say bye to everyone like this towards the end of the podcast, just because I have to.
I can't do it. I just do it.
It took a lot of practice, and look, see, my fingers still kind of twitching. But dude, we talk about all this fancy technology, and maybe people were expecting it out of this, but so you can have transporters, cool types of like air vehicle transportation, whatever. But we can talk about all these cool different ideas and everything, but we got to fix these things first if we want to see that type of future. So yeah, Aaron, any last words?
Last words. Breathe. Breathe.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say.
And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to whoever's been watching. honestly, it just keeps me and Aaron motivated mostly, just to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks to the viewers. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed
Yeah.
episode
If
number
you want
4.
to give us feedback, you could always reach out to the two of us. We're happy to receive it. And
Of course.
we do want to let you know that the next couple of episodes are going to be more oriented towards these viewers. We'd like to get your input on life. One of our next episodes, I believe next week's episode at this point, is we want to get your experiences with online school.
Dude, I'm so ready for this, dude. Zoom
So we're going to
University.
take a break from the urban development, and we're going to focus on Zoom University. I mean, it is a form of development.
Aaron, you and I are going to moderate some crazy individuals. Can't wait to get them on. We're going to get some hardcore opinions. We're not going to mention any particular prof's name. They can mention their experience with the prof, but no names will be said just to keep it respectful. But this is a truth episode. Things are going to come out. I'm so excited for this. So
yeah, well, I'm excited to see where it goes and how much moderation we need. Like, am I going to have to sit there and slam a book on the table and go, all right, folks, be quiet?
Oh, dude, we got to come up with some sort of format for that. But at the same time, I don't want to come up with a format because we got to keep it natural.
In the meantime, if you have any suggestions on that format, please reach out to us. If you want to be involved in it, please reach out to us. We're always happy to have students on. The only thing we ask is that you don't swear. And yeah.
We'll try to control that. But yeah, we'll see you for episode number 5. Thank you for watching and take care.
Oh, you doing the beam me up, Scotty?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Bye, everyone. Have a good week.
Bye, guys. Take care.